Hello everyone, it's Paul Driscoll here, aka the Drisk, and I'm here to do another review for my favourite video game shop, the Game Smart shop in Yardley, Birmingham, the coolest game shop in Birmingham. Now the game I want to review and talk about is a real favourite of mine, and that is Goldeneye by Rare, released way back in 1997. And on its release, it really was a revelation back in the day, proving really for the first time that consoles could successfully do first-person shooters. In many ways it was a perfect game really, pulling together the coolness, humour and suave sophistication that makes the James Bond films so popular, and combining it all in such a way to make this the best James Bond game of all time, and often rightly considered as one of the best first-person shooter games of all time, or even game of any genre, making many of the top all-time lists. Playing the game today is you take Pierce Brosnan's James Bond around the levels, stealthily taking out the Russian soldiers with your trusty PPK pistol or even sniper rifle. In fact, even today, patiently waiting for a quick kill headshot, looking through the sniper target at a mile away, or injuring the soldiers in quick succession to buy you time to go back to pick them off more cleanly, is one of the best examples in the genre, and seldom repeated even today. The levels themselves are exciting and varied as well, taking you around a wide variety of locales and missions, making the game interesting to the last. That is to say nothing about the real jewel of the Goldeneye game. That is up to 4-player, split-screen multiplayer, allowing you to play a host of characters not just from the Goldeneye film, but from the main characters from all the James Bond's illustrious history. Being able to play the villain Jaws, or even have a 4-player deathmatch between the 4 different Bonds, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, is gaming gold. Just don't you go and play Oddjob, as he's smaller and so he has an unfair advantage in multiplayer, so don't be a cheater. Talking of cheats, that was actually another great feature of the game. As you completed the game in different difficulty settings and did various missions, you were given an option to toggle up to 70 cheats as you unlocked them all throughout the game. Some were traditional, such as invincibility, and were great fun, but other cheats were really ingenious and hilarious, like the DK mode, standing for Donkey Kong mode, where all the characters would have massive cartoon-like heads, making the game naturally easier because it's easier to get the headshots, but also really fun to play, being quite humorous. And that is what is so great about this game. It's fun with a capital F. And in today's world of generic first-person shooters, it really stands as a gleaming beacon for what first-person shooters should strive to be. But how did such an all-time classic come about? Well, when Nintendo bought the rights to James Bond's new rebooted film Goldeneye, they immediately turned to their golden UK development house, Rare, and asked if they would be interested in doing the game for them. Rare, who at the time had only recently finished the brilliant Donkey Kong Country game, and also Killer Instinct in the arcades, initially turned down this offer, as simply they weren't interested. But Martin Hollis, a new employee at Rare, who'd only worked as a second programmer on Killer Instinct and had done no other prior game to Killer Instinct, said that he really wanted to do the game, as he was a huge James Bond fan and he could see a lot of potential in the license. So, despite his lack of experience, the owners of Rare gave him the chance and placed him as project lead and director on one of the hottest game licenses for Nintendo. So, in 1995, with Rare's finest already caught up on other game projects, Martin had to recruit new people to Rare, almost all who had had no game writing experience, and between them they set out to create a game for Nintendo's yet-to-be-revealed console called, at that time, Project Reality, which of course later became known as Nintendo 64. So armed with some hugely expensive silicon graphic computer that had been used to create all the pre-rendered graphics in Donkey Kong Country, and knowing that the new console would be based on similar architecture, they set about creating their game. With absolutely no gaming experience and overreaching ambition to make this James Bond game, it really felt, initially on the face of it, like this was going to be a train wreck waiting to happen. The game's design initially started off as a virtual COT on-rail shooter clone, but as development progressed, they thankfully decided to leave it free roaming, and slowly it became the game we all know and love today. But such overreaching ambition with the game would have its price, with the game taking a massive, for the time, number of days to complete, being 1,000 days to actually make the game. This of course made the game hugely delayed, with its final release, the film, being finished and long since been and gone in the cinemas. Still, despite the delays, Martin and his team continued ever trying to improve the game. In fact, the multiplayer element, and perhaps one of Goldeneye's greatest features, was really done at last minute and in secret from Rare's management and Nintendo, because they knew that with such delays already occurred, there's no way they would allow them to add extra features to their original design. So they secretly did it, spending a month doing all the multiplayer, and then only showed management and Nintendo when it was far too late and it was all completed. And that is what I love about this game. Its attention to detail, its balance of tension and humour, and love and care throughout the game, even taking time to insert all the team's faces as scientists and soldiers into the game. Amazingly though, the game wasn't initially a massive seller. Instead, it was a game that continued to steadily sell years after its release, and a large part to Nintendo's N64 success in Europe, offering that much needed adult cool to the cutesy Mario and Zelda graphics that Nintendo are so well known for. So that's what I thought. I love this game, as I think you can tell. But what did the magazines back in the day think? Well, GameSpot in the US gave it 10 out of 10 and said, "Play Goldeneye one time and you'll be jostling for James harder than Grace Jones on a lonely night. It's one of the best movie-to-game translations ever, and definitely an early favourite for the game of the year." IGN gave the game 9.7 out of 10 and said, "The game is brilliant in both the single-player mode, opening up new weapons each time a difficulty level is cleared, the Cougar Magnum in the easiest difficulty setting, and in multiplayer mode, making it the best multiplayer game on the system, edging Mario Kart 64 by a hair. In fact, we can say with a clear conscience that Goldeneye is the best single-player first-person game on any system." Edge gave the game 9 out of 10 and said, "Goldeneye's 18 missions follow the plot of the film closely, with a certain amount of artistic license employed in certain sections to ensure that this first-person shoot-'em-up contains even more action than its filmic counterpart. As a result, the game's scenarios are as diverse as could be expected from any Bond adventure, seeing 007 bungee jumping from a Russian dam, defusing bombs in Monte Carlo, infiltrating enemy installations, stealing secret weapons from Siberian army bases, disabling enemy satellite communications in Cuba, meeting up with old adversaries, and of course, saving the girl." Nintendo Power Magazine also gave it 90%, saying, "Many of the evaluators feel that Goldeneye is one of the best executed games of all time. If there's a downside to Goldeneye, we really had to struggle to come up with one. It's that squeamish players may find the death animations are so realistic that they may want to close their eyes and wind up getting shot." So there you go. All in all, Goldeneye is a fantastically fun game, and is still the best James Bond game ever released. So try this game today, and when you're done, try Rare's team's follow-up game Perfect Dark, which really is even better, and also on the N64. Incidentally, they did do a digital version on Xbox Live, where they remastered the edition, and this is also a fantastic version. I should also note that most of the team who did the game Goldeneye and Perfect Dark went on to create a new development house called Free Radical Design, and did those brilliant Time Splitter games, and unfortunately the not so good game Haze, before they finally closed their doors. This was a review for Game Smart Shop in Yardley, the coolest game shop in Birmingham. Thanks for listening.